Hello, this is Carnella with Close to My Heart. Today I am going to make this card that is in our Daisy Medows card making workshop. Okay, the card making workshop comes so you can make these 4 cards, 4 of each design. It has the stamp set, and these ones that are highlighted in blue also has the thin cut that you can use to cut out the shapes. This is the diagram of the finished product. This is your steps on what you need for your accents, and then this is how to assemble. And it has like measurements here. 1 1/4 is where you want the start of the white strip to go, so you know how to place that. Alright, so the first thing it says is to do this piece here, and in order to do that we are going to stamp the daisies and the birds using 2nd generation and of the smoothie ink, and we're also going to use fern for the greenery. So let's go ahead and start with the grass first. I have all my pieces already pre-cut because that takes a few minutes, but here's the die set that goes with the stamp set, and here's our little stamp set here. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is stamp the grass, and this you can either put 1 piece on your little 1x1 block, or if you have a longer block you can put both pieces on that. Line those up towards the bottom. Now the grass, you want it to be 1st generation, and your leaves want to be 1st generation. This is our older style ink pads. This is the new style, and they're magnetic and they are great and easier to open. I don't have all of the colors in the new because I still have some of the colors in the old ink pad, and I just would rather spend my money on new stamps and paper as long as my ink pads are working. So alright, this is the foam. I don't know if you've ever worked with Close to My Heart, but it's the clear stamps. And because the old rubber stamps had that little bit of foam in the red rubber and blocks had the little bit of foam. We don't have that, so we can either put it on this piece of foam that comes with your stamp, or the back of this mat that we have with Close to My Heart. It has foam on the back there, so you can turn it over. I just tend to use the little foam piece from the stamp pad. So stamp this up, make sure there's no extra ink around the edges, and you're just going to line this up and stamp across. Now it's a little, oops, it is pretty easy to see through the block, so you can get your stamps lined up. Okay. All right. Now the way I had the grass, it made this little space right here between each of the leaves, and that's where I am going to use the leaf, and we are going to make, it's where flowers are going to live. Oops, wasn't paying attention about putting it on that cricket. Okay, I'm just stamp those down in there. And you can put however many flowers you want. Alright, those are all the tall ones. I'm going to use the other 1x1 block and do the smaller leaf. So we can put one here. Kind of sound like Bob Ross, didn't I? So happy little flower lives here, and a happy little flower lives here. But you can honestly do that however you want. All right, so those are the leaves, and now we're going to do the flowers. There are a couple of, they have 3 on here that use the die cut, and so we're going to do that next. Set this over here. And these are super small. Okay, then that flower is this one. I'm also going to put that on a 1x1 block. Use our black ink to stamp that on there. I think I'm done with the green, so I'm going to go ahead and close that up. The other night I was trying to film this video and it wasn't working out, and I got very frustrated, and I went to put my son to bed, and I decided to go to bed right along with him. And when I did, I wasn't planning on it until I already got there. I woke up the next morning and my ink pads were still open. So the fern I just used and the smoothie was open from 11 p.m. until 7:30 a.m. and I just stamped with that, and I have not re-inked it or anything. So that can tell you how much ink is in those ink pads, and I've had that fern forever. All right, I messed that one up a little bit, so I just turned it over and stamped on it. Okay, and the picture shows us having it yellow, the flower yellow. I don't have I'm putting an order in, but I don't have the current Sundance ink, so I am using a yellow color that I already have. You can use our sponge daubers to just tap some yellow on there. You could use a watercolor brush to color those up. All right. And then we're going to glue these on. I tend to put a dot. I tend to have this out of screen. All right. Put a dot down on the paper, because these are so small, of where I want these flowers to go. Okay, so there's this small dot of blue. Probably should use the tweezers. You could use foam dots to put underneath these if you want them to stand up, so that it'll be more 3-dimensional. I am just going to leave mine flat. All right. So we've got those placed, and now we're going to do the other little flower. This one back. The other little flower is this one. Okay, and this one is done with the 2nd generation stamp. So for that, we are going to, these are my other pieces. We are going to get a scrap, and we are going to ink up, make sure the whole thing's covered, nothing on the edge. Ink up, stamp off, and then line it up and stamp on your product. There, Okay. I'm going to stamp on this one. Okay. And this one has some little tiny berries that go in the middle. You can see how tiny those are. So we are going to use first generation stamp on that right in the middle. Okay. Make sure that gets back on your carrier sheet right away or you will lose those. The next one is like a little rosebud. Again, we're going to do the second generation. I'm going to put these on these small ones. Kind of looks more like a ranuncula, if you guys know what those are. Alright, so there's that. And then we have a little tiny bird. If you look on the stamp, it looks, we have the frame and then the little bird in there. It is separate from the frame. They just have used up some space there, which is really nice. You can get more stamps on a smaller area. Alright, stamp that off. And this little bird's gonna just be right here. Okay. The next thing we want to do is make the label. I've already made one. Like I said, I tried to do this the other day. Alright, I'm going to set this up here to the side. For the label, we're going to need the border. Pull that off. These can get twisted really easily. Not twisted, but askew. So I just lay it down. And then I put my block on top. Press down and pick it up. That way it's straight and not all wonky. Then I'm going to take the black ink pad, ink this up, and then line this up. I'm going to try to do it without getting my head in the way. Alright. Okay. Some people prefer to stamp and then use their die cut. That's totally up to you. Next is we're going to need Thanks a Bunch. And I am just going to use the back side of this stamp or block for the stamp. Ink that one up. Center that as best I can, because you can see right through our blocks. Alright, and then the next thing is to add a little bit of smoothie in the middle. I need new sponge daubers. This one is really old. So I'm going to ink that up a little bit, just real lightly, and tap off a little bit, and just very lightly go in a circular motion, and it just gives it enough of a little bit of color to tie it in with the rest of the card. Okay. Oh, just knocked it right off on the floor. Alright, now we need to assemble this. It says attach 2A. So when you have your cutting instructions, on the very first couple of pages, it shows you how to cut and what the pieces are. So like this one is the plaid and the Easter egg paper, and we're going to use the front side. If it has a little asterisk like the 3D here does, then that means we use the back side. So 2A is this, and it's gonna, it says attach 2A to your card base. Now, as I'm putting the other one together, depends on how much paper you want to save ultimately what's going to happen is you got this piece on your card front. You're going to have this piece here. And then we have, and it goes all the way across the card. This piece only goes as a border. And then you're going to add these strips of little trim pieces that go on here. Okay. And this is going to be up to you whether you want to, it says, this is 2C. So always go back and look because I don't know if it wants the dark side up or the light side. And it says it's the light side, okay? Because it kind of matches better with the plaid. All right, so ultimately, your card's going to look like this. There's a lot of pattern paper back here that you could trim and cut later, or trim and have that use that later. So that's up to you if it's easier to use the one whole piece or figure out what the distance is between here and here and then just cut those two little trim pieces. For today, I'm just going to use the one big piece so we can get it put together. Right, I don't have my normal little tape runner. I am out of that. I think my granddaughter has borrowed them, so I need to get refills of those. So you can eyeball lining this up, or as I'm setting Cricut, I do that better. You can use the grid on your mat to help you. Let's see if something else. Oh, sorry, I moved the camera. I have a T-square, a little plastic T-square that I got at, okay, so I bought this little plastic T-square at Hobby Lobby over, I think, in the drawing arts thing, but let me move the camera a little bit. It butts up to the edge of our Versa mat, and so it'll fit there. And then that way you can line up, if you line your card up to one of the white lines, and then you line this up here or down here, whichever you need it to, wherever you need it to line up at, then you could make sure that your piece is straight. Okay, like that. So then this just usually stays up here in my little bin. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to add is this. I am going to use a little bit of liquid glue for this one. Just a little bit, not much at all. It just gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Again, I'm going to line this up on a line. And it wants this to go 1 1/4 inches down. So if I line this up on the 9, 1 1/4 would be, okay, I'm going to line that up on the 9. Then I'm going to put the bottom of the ruler at 1 1/4 inches below the top. Okay, so that's on the 1 1/4 inch line, and then this is just going to butt right up against that. Okay, and then I'm going to run a very, very small line of glue across there and one across here. And then I will put, I call these trim pieces. I don't know what y'all call them. Okay, push that down. may have needed just a little bit more glue. I just didn't want it all to squish out. Okay. And then we're going to just line that up. It has a little bit of wiggle room. There we go. Okay. So there's that. Then we need to add our sentiment to the outside. And again, you could use foam tape to make this stick up, but if you're going to mail it in the mail, you might want to just do it flat. I am looking for my foam tape. I have rearranged and rearranged. How many of you all keep organizing your craft space and then you forget where you put what you had? I'm always trying to make it better. Things I use the most within reach. And now I don't know where I put stuff. Oh well. We'll just leave it flat for today. Alright? It's a little bit of liquid glue on there. And this shows up being up to the left a little bit. I'm going to add that on there and make sure it don't go over top of the flower. And then in this kit, you get wooden hearts. So you need to pick a couple out. This one, maybe, and this one. Okay. And you're going to add those on with glue dots. Let me get a couple of glue dots here. Alright. I need some of our little micro dots. Okay. And then this one. Oh, you can see that there. Sorry, had to fix the glue dot. And put that right there. Okay, there you go. That's your card. And I think it turned out pretty much like the one on the paper. Maybe a little bit more flowers. But that's okay. You know what? It's your card. You can add as many or as little as you like. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this. This card concept here, I have cut everything I needed for the card kit. And excuse my arm here for a minute. But when I cut it, I have a bunch of scraps here, and I am going to try to maybe, if I can get it to work right, use this concept as a 12 by 12 scrapbook page. Okay? Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon.